Hello and welcome, and thank you for joining me. Today we're going to look at another flow use case, and I'll be building the flow from scratch step by step. So this should be really useful if you are a beginner and if you're looking on guidelines on how to start building a flow. So here's the use case for today. We have an opportunity record, and I want a button here which users can use to automatically delete all the line items related to that opportunity. Or it could be any other related list depending on your requirement. So instead of user going into one by one deleting each line items, I want a button just like this to actually delete all the line items at once. So in order to do that, first we need to understand what the opportunity product is. So these line items are actually a junction object between opportunity and the product. So each lines here is a junction. So basically, in order to query these opportunity line items, all you need is the opportunity ID. Okay, so first of all, let's look at how to start building the flow. So we're gonna go to the setup, click on flows here. So once we click on flows, we'll be landed on this flow page. Then you click on new flow, and here's the main important question. So we have different options here. What kind of flow do we want to use? I have other videos where I actually go into what are the different use cases for each types of flow, so feel free to check that out. But remember, anytime if you want the user to interact with your flow, then it has to be screen flow. Click next. And then your screen flow starts. Now, the first thing you need to do is create a new resource, and I'll tell you why. So since we are in the opportunity page, we know that the button will be on the opportunity page. You need to create a variable called recordId, and this has to be spelled out exactly the same way, because if we create this variable of data type text available for input, what this will do is it will automatically pass this opportunity ID into that button, because we need that opportunity ID to be able to query all the line items for that opportunity. All these products, these are called opportunity line item object. So basically, these are the junction object between opportunity and the product. Okay, so let's go back to the flow. Now, to be able to delete those, obviously, we need to query those records. So let's say get records, get opportunity line items. And the object we need is opportunity product. That's the label. Opportunity line item is the API name. And what's the condition? What line items do you need? The only condition we have here is that opportunity ID should be equal to the record ID that we created. Okay? Because we need all the line items related to that opportunity. If we didn't put this criteria, it will query all the opportunity line items from your org, so which is not good. And then we need all the records, and we're going to let Salesforce do its thing and automatically store all the fields into a single collection variable. Collection variable means it's like a bucket of all the different records stored for you in the org, in this flow. Okay, so let's connect these. And what's the next step we need to do is just delete it. Usually, if you had to update the opportunity line items or do something else with those individual records, you'd use a for loop, because you are now dealing with a collection of records. But in this case, since we just want to delete them in one go, we don't care, we don't have any conditions, just want to delete everything. We just hit delete op line items. So we don't need to use a flow here. And how to find the records to delete. So we have two options. We could have just used object here and query the records directly here, but we already queried that in the previous step. So here we can just say the records that we found, opportunity product from get line items. So that will already have all your opportunity line items. Hit done and delete. Now, one more thing you can do before this is actually have a decision to check if the opportunity has line items or not. Because if the opportunity does not find any line items, if this does not find any line items, your flow will fail, because if this thing is empty, it will not have anything to delete. So maybe that's a good idea to add a check here, a decision element, right here before the delete. So you'll basically pull in a decision. I'm just going to show you real quick. And here you'll say if this collection variable is null, false. So that means if the collection variable is not false, then only delete it, otherwise don't delete it or don't do anything. So you can add that on your own. And maybe because it's a screen element, you probably want to add something saying, I'll just put a text, display text to the end user. Let's name it message confirmation. And basically I just want to say you are about to delete all line items. And maybe do you want to proceed or not, something like that. So, and give it a name, delete confirmation, spell that right, and hit done. And maybe you want to have that before even you get started with the flow. Maybe that will be the first element, because you want to confirm if they say yes, or if they hit next, then only it does it, otherwise they can exit out of the flow. So let's save this part, opportunity, line items, delete. I'm just skipping this part, but this is really useful to add the description so you understand what your button is doing. And maybe you can also add where this is used. We're going to be using this flow inside a button. So I'm going to first activate it. And you can also quickly test it out by using debug. So if you hit debug, before you even add the button, you can actually test it out right here. You can say, add a record ID and hit run and see what happens. But we're going to add the button on the page. So go to Object Manager. I also want to show you how to create the button. Go to Opportunity Object, because that's where we want the button to be, and hit a new action, not the button or link. You have to create a new action, because that's where you'll see the option of flow. And this is only possible in Lightning, I believe, not in Classic. So let's pick the one that we just created. Delete line items. Okay. You can also add a description here. Hit save. And once you save this, you want to add it to the page layout so you can actually see it. And let's go here, go to not the buttons, you need to go to quick actions or mobile and lightning action. That's where you need to go and click that delete line items and add it somewhere here. And this is only for lightning. Hit save. There are workarounds for classic, but for this video we're just going to stick to lightning. So let's refresh the screen a couple of times. Sometimes it does need a couple of times for it to show up. And we have that here, delete line items, and let's see what happens. You're about to delete all line items. Okay, cool. Hit next, and there, all your product line items are gone. Pretty nice. Otherwise, you usually would have to go to each line item and delete them. So it saves a tremendous amount of time, and it's really easy to build. So definitely try it out and let me know what you think. And if you have any other use cases, definitely reach out to me. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like the content, please hit that like button and or subscribe.